Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. Trusting all is well with you. And today we are happy to be with you. This is Editor and I'm Doinitsa, and we have a beautiful guest. Her name is Cris. And Cris is a student of the world, finding her own path and helping others to bring more joy into their life through the profound connection of mind, body, and soul. So keep it simple for that. Well, with that, welcome, Cris.
Mm.
And would you like to tell us a little bit of who is Cris?
Oh, thank you, ladies, for having me. We've been talking for 20 minutes before we started recording, so I feel like we've already started. But it's such a pleasure to spend time with you both and really get to talk and hear more about your art and how you've started your own channel. So, yay for showing up for you guys. That's
Thank
fantastic.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I've got my own podcast. So it's called Grounding Journey. And Janita, you're going to be a guest on it shortly. And it's always funny when somebody turns the mic on you because I'm so used to talking to other people and bringing that conversation element out with them that when it's my turn to talk about me, I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do that. So I know it's something we talked about that you both experienced doing your show starting is really working through that throat chakra and working through being seen. So it's always interesting and funny to be the one who people are listening to specifically now. So thank you for giving me that opportunity today to revisit that and expand and grow through that because we're all expanding and growing so much in life.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's such a pleasure having you here. I feel the joy
Mhm.
already. Maybe also because we already chatted for 20 minutes. Cats,
Yes.
art, everything.
Yes. I think sometimes with my podcast, the best parts of the conversation are at the very end after we've said hello, goodbye, and we hit end. And my son used to do my podcast editing for me, and he'd always be like, Mom, just roll with it. Quit ending it because it's good stuff when you finish. So I think that's the same with us as we begin.
We should
So
have pressed start
So,
from the
so
beginning
let's bring the ending
to the
to
beginning.
the
yeah,
beginning right now.
I love that.
So you
Yeah.
mentioned you have the podcast, you know. So can you tell us a bit, like, how did you get into it, and what else do you do, and who is Cris? You know, like, what's your passion? What
Yeah.
ignites Chris's heart?
Yeah. My passion is being awake and experiencing life, not settling for the day to day, but really feeling each experience in life. And sometimes that means you experience some really cruddy stuff, but then you get to experience this really happy, elevated stuff. I just had a conversation with somebody the other day about the difference in joy and happy, gratitude and happy, because to really feel those really great, happy, alive moments, you also have to show up for the shadow moments, for the dark moments, and feel those so that you feel the contrast and you get to constantly choose what you want to feel. So, that, if you ask me, my passion is helping people. And when I say be alive, I don't mean like awaken, but be alive in their life, feel the existence and not just get up every morning and go to work and come home and make dinner and live for your weekends. Like enjoy every day and everything it has. So my podcast that you mentioned is Grounding Journey. I actually started it in 2020 and it's had its own really neat evolution. It started out because my husband and I'm a graphic designer, he's a tech guy. So we build websites, we do back ends for people's email funnels, we do podcast editing, all that kind of stuff. We say we're a creative agency, non-agency, because we're a family. There's my voice, the whole throat thing that we were talking about earlier. Uh, our son was graduating high school. He wanted to join the business. We weren't really sure how to engage him with it. And we had a couple clients who wanted to start podcasting. So we found this fantastic podcasting training program. All three of us flew down to Orlando to spend a week in training. We actually flew home. It was so eerie because we'd been in training for 5 days. I had no idea what was happening in the world. We flew home. It was March 2020. And I noticed people wearing masks and gloves on the plane. And I'm like, what's going on? And 2 days later, the airports shut down for COVID. So it was really like just telling you that, I get goosebumps. So through that, our clients kind of pulled back because most of our clients are moms who work while their kids are at school. They're solopreneurs, mompreneurs, and some of them pulled back because they suddenly had kids at home. But we didn't want to lose the training that we had learned. So I decided to start a podcast to really see what it was like from start to finish. And that's where Grounding Journey came from. And it was definitely, as you both know, an experience in being seen, being comfortable with sharing my voice, starting ugly, as we talked about when you go back. I've been doing it for 4 years. So I actually just reactivated my YouTube channel a month ago. And like you both said, when I see the episodes from the very beginning, I wanted to delete them all because they were so awful versus what I see now. But I left them because I want to show up authentically and show up as myself. And to me, that's really starting ugly is starting now when you have the inspiration so that you allow it to evolve. So my podcast started out as a work project. Through COVID, it really became my passion project. It was my way to connect with people because my husband and I have worked at home since 2016. We also live at the back of a neighborhood on a dead end street up against a horse farm. So we don't see a lot of people or interact with a lot of people. So the podcast really became how I stayed connected to people on the journey because I wasn't going to the yoga studio anymore or getting out. And then it evolved into my service project because I really love it. And I now am at the point where I get feedback from people about a certain episode, how it affected them, or how this changed, or how it really gave them insight. So it's really neat to be able to blend my passion with my service. And so that's kind of where the podcast has evolved. And through the evolution of that, our business has changed completely. Our son now doesn't work for us because it was hard having your 18-year-old son work for mom. We do have hopes for him to return with our new business, but we've actually evolved into a monthly subscription box, and we're launching an online program soon for women in midlife who are in those transitions and trying to discover who they are themselves because they've hit empty nest, they've done job transitions, because that's all the stuff that I've gone through in the last 4 or 5 years, and really wanting to be a guide for other women who are seeking that strength, that experience, strength, and hope that we all have to offer each other.
This is beautiful.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
Thanks.
we did search through your stuff.
We did look through.
So yeah, the monthly subscription, it's a cool thing. I did see. I was zooming the pictures to see what is in the boxes and all those reviews from all those happy clients, happy women. That
Mhm.
looks amazing. I think it's kind of like we forget sometimes that we can spoil ourselves too.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful things in the box. What is it
Yeah, that's what I was
exactly?
gonna say. Like, what do you have? Like, what do you
Yes.
use it in the
Yeah.
box?
So the monthly subscriptions box name is My Happy Life Box. So you can find it at myhappylifebox.com. Or if you go to the podcast, Grounding Journey podcast, you'll find a link there too. So for me, as you said, spoiling yourself is hard. The word self-care is such a buzzword. There's so much conversation about taking care of yourself, self-care, self-love. But when it comes to it, we don't know how to do that because we start out with all these dreams and goals in our 20s. The 30s really hit us of, okay, I've got to figure out what I'm doing with my life. And for me, in my 40s, facing empty nest and our job transition, one, I didn't know who I really wanted to be this next phase of my life because I loved every element that I had been, every um, role that I had played in the past, but I didn't know what the next role was. So we created the subscription box because we want to help women discover what that is. And so for me, in my 20s, I did the Reiki training. I became a certified aromatherapist because of health conditions. I did crystal training. I did all this stuff. I did my yoga teacher training. And a lot of the times, the stuff I did was because my teacher, my guru, told me that's what I was supposed to do. And I remember being in yoga teacher training because I just wanted to get better at my own yoga practice. I don't actually teach, but I really wanted to strengthen my own yoga practice. And our teacher said, you always start with your right side of your body. So you step off with your right foot, you move your right arm. And I remember asking in class, why? Why do we start with our right? And she said, well, because my guru told me that's how you start. And I didn't like that answer because I wanted to know why I'm supposed to do it. What's the history? What's the reason? What's the meaning behind it? And so through more research and digging in myself, I learned that the nadis, so you've got your chakra spiral that goes up and down from your crown to your root. And then you have the nadis that go from your right and your left, and they intertwine like a snake through your chakras. And that's where your energy moves. That's your Kundalini energy. And so the Kundalini energy rises on the right and returns on the left. So that's why yoga teaches you to start on your right, because you're lifting the energy. So I started digging into more stuff like that about the different spiritual, I don't want to call them idols because that's a turnoff, but spiritual statues, the different Buddhas, the different Kuan Yins, what those meant to really bring that purpose to me. What chanting, what's the meaning behind Om, and why do we chant it 3 times? So that's one of my big intentions with the box. And we do some online, as I mentioned, online programs, is to teach you those things that you've just been doing because your guru told you. And I remember being in my 20s, and both my aromatherapy teacher and my crystal healer teacher. So when I say aromatherapy, this was in the early 90s. So it was before network marketing. It was really using oils as a medicine. Both of them were in their, it's so funny, I think they were in their 60s, but I was in my 20s. So they could have actually been in their early 50s. And I just thought they were 80, like I don't actually know how old they were. But they came with a lot of knowledge and a lot of this is what you're supposed to do because I said so. And I just did it because I was in my 20s. But as I've gotten into my 40s and I'm exploring myself, I want a guide. I wanted somebody who would say, here's a whole buffet of stuff. I want you to read about it. Here's some stuff you can read. And I want you to pick from it and find what resonates for you. So that's really my inspiration with the box, is to be a guide, not a guru, to give you this buffet of stuff that helps you explore who you are, what you believe, what resonates for you, and what you want to take further with you. Find what you like, take what you like, and leave the rest. So that's like what you'll find in the box as an intention and experience. But as in items that you'll find, we do lots of high quality stuff. So there are some other well-known spiritual guide boxes that just have trinkets and things that you can pick up anywhere. But we find really neat journals that are going to give you a journey experience. We do send you large crystals with a reason why to use them. Like in 1 month, we used quartz points, really big ones, because of how it directs your energy and the universe's energy. Um, we find really healthy, yummy snacks. So all of our snacks are gluten-free and vegetarian. My husband says that's the best part of the job, is that he gets to test all the snacks for us before we put them in, because I have food allergies and I know I've found really good stuff and really bad stuff. So anything in the box, you're going to know we've tested, we've turned some stuff away. We have incorporated other stuff into our own lives and our own boxes. And I'm also a licensed esthetician. So I've done skincare for 20 years, and that's something else that we bring into the box, is clean ingredient, natural skincare, because as we hit that midlife moment, our skin's not 20 anymore, and we need guidance and products instead of just picking something up at the drugstore. Um, all of our businesses, we try to really highlight fair trade, woman owned. family owned. So because we're family owned, we don't just focus on women owned, but we do love to spotlight those and B Corps that are giving back to the community or giving back to their cause. So we've featured a lot of those kind of companies. Now there are, publishers, things like that that are larger companies. So I'm not going to say that we're just fair trade, family owned, but we really do try to focus on that and bring you products you might not have seen before, but you're going to fall in love with and really introduce you to stuff to explore the journey. That was a really long answer for a
No,
quick
but
No,
that was
question.
I
Sorry.
perfect.
know.
That was beautiful and perfect. But
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
also, like, I have a question because I read the reviews, some of the reviews,
Mm-hmm.
and one that kind of, kind of brought a question up for me. Um, that every month you have a theme.
Yeah.
So, like, what was the theme of this month, or last month, or last month? Yeah, like,
Yeah. Well, some themes are really neat. So in April, everything was earth conscious because of Earth Day. So it was fair trade from India. It was all woman owned businesses who were making a difference in the world. So sometimes it's a theme like bringing women businesses into us. In December, we did kind of a take care of yourself in the winter months. So we had stress care. We also had some healthy immune system. They were really neat. It was an essential oil candy that was an immune system builder. So we try to tune the months into what's happening in your world that month. Our welcome box is all about getting in touch with you, learning about you. So it's got a card deck about being loving to yourself. It's got a journal called the Happiness Journal in it. It's got a smudge stick to clear your energy. So we do different things like that. And it's so funny. I started working on July's box last night, so I'm trying to remember what June's box was because my mind has shifted. But okay, so June was a B box. So BEE, Buzz. Oh, well, my little tattoo. Yeah.
oh, nice.
Um, so there was a card deck and crystals with it that was all about um, who you want to be authentic, be real, and the crystals that supported you to do that. There was honey in it. Um, I'm totally blanking on everything, but it was all bee related and being related. So it's fun to create those and really it's always neat. It's a journey for me to create it, to reflect on that part of my journey, and then to support the women who are part of the box as they explore and experience it too.
That's a beautiful connection. I mean, you do what you love to do, and you share this with the rest of it, rest of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And along with that, just as part of the subscribers, we have a subscribers library that has meditations and breath practices and mini classes. So, like I was talking about, there's a class that teaches you the history of the Om. There's a class that teaches you Ganesh and why you want to use Ganesh and how to use Ganesh and different things like that. So it's really giving you that spiritual experience, strength, and hope for you to pick what you like and leave the rest.
That is so beautiful. And what I'm listening to it, and it's like I can feel just the warmth and the happiness and the joy and the,
Mm-hmm.
excitement and it's like curiosity. But also, I'm like, because it's a family business, so you and your husband, tech, graphic designer and tech,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like left. Well, you have to be right brain. You have to be intuitive to know things. But it's amazing how you both evolving.
Yes. Watching my husband evolve has been because um he's not on the same level of the journey as I am. It's really interesting. He actually um used to build boats. So these Adirondack guide boats, which are historical, like if you think of the boat in old movies where the woman has a parasol on her shoulder and she's facing the guy who's paddling, like that's the kind of wood boat he used to build. Um, and I thought it was very interesting when he started his business because he built a boat to float on the water. And I was like down in the depths of the water. And so finally he jumped out of the boat and he's definitely on a journey and he's really discovered Abraham Hicks lately. And it's been neat to watch him go through this because we're on a journey. I've just been on it longer, so I'm deeper in the water than him. And it's neat to watch him go through it because it brings me back to the basics. It reminds me what it was like to start that journey 20 years ago.
And it's a beautiful dance because it's like I can hear that he's, he's coming to you, you're going to him. So it's like you're together. You're
Yeah.
growing and evolving together.
And actually, I had a really interesting conversation with my almost 80 years old client today morning, and they are married 58 years ago. They got married 58
Wow.
years ago, and we were talking about how right now we are kind of like balancing the female and male energy
Mhm.
within, but also in our relationship and our marriages, any kind of other relationship. So it is it is beautiful. I'm always so happy to hear stories like this.
Yeah.
Because I hear, there's so many like relationships in the last few years that have gone separate ways.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And it is such, it's just like you see, I've got a big smile on my face, and it's just like hope. You give hope to the
Mm,
people, for women and
Yeah.
men, that
yeah,
together, there is a will, there is a way, there is a
mm-hmm.
heart desire, and you're dancing together,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
growing together, and you're evolving
Dance
together.
flow. Yeah.
Dance flow and,
Mm-hmm.
supporting one another. That's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's funny because it is challenging to work with your husband. And I make the joke that fortunately our house is big enough that he's on one end of it and I'm on the other end. My sister and brother-in-law, because of COVID, their office became the same room, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how they do it. But Matthew and I definitely have our struggles and our challenges because we're together 24/7. And it's interesting because one of the reasons I invited you to be a guest on my podcast is I had someone in 2021 come on my podcast that did Akashic Records. And Matthew and I were at a real turning point of, do we keep going? Do we change? Like, and that's when our business actually transformed from the creative agency. We still do our creative agency, but really transforming into the subscription box and program for midlife women. Um, the lady did my Akashic records and said that I was really stepping into the high priestess, and that high priestess in the past had always done it alone, and it was my choice if I was going to do it alone or if I was going to change that and do it with a partner. And I'll tell you what, like just telling you that, I've got goosebumps again. It was a game changer having her do my records and really, like, we were recording and she said, okay, let's stop recording for a minute because it hit me so intensely at that moment. And then we finished recording. Um, and it really did. So now when we have those rough moments, I remind myself, you're my person. Like, this is just part of life. It's part of those dark moments so that we can feel those blissful moments. And sometimes I really have to remind myself that he's my person, but knowing that that was the commitment. And I've been married before. I married my high school sweetheart. I was married to him for 17 years. So I don't believe in staying in a relationship that is not healthy for either of you. Um, but just realizing with Matthew that this part of my journey, he's my partner in it. He's the person I'm supposed to go through with it until that changes. Hopefully that doesn't change. But definitely the Akashic Records was a game changer for me.
That's so beautiful. And it's such wise words, just saying that it's almost like there is a divine, like you trust, you allow, and you accept. No, in the present, you're staying in the present moment. You're allowing that to unfold, yet knowing that it might change in the future. So you're not holding on to the dear life, that this
Yeah.
is it.
Yeah, because that's a commitment that comes from both ways. It's like I'm
Mhm.
committing first of all to myself to be with you, and committing to the other person, and it goes
And
both
by,
ways.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and it's beautiful, it's powerful, it's, yeah. When we, yeah, so you feel it's like you're really in the present moment, like in the journey of
Mm-hmm.
this called the messy journey of life,
Yes. Yes.
because that takes a commitment, to actually work on yourself, to grow and evolve, to say yes to yourself, and open your heart to another human
Mm-hmm.
being, which is a completely different human being than you and is on walking on a different
Mm-hmm.
journey than you. But
Yeah.
together you're creating, co-creating something beautiful.
And lately, I'm meeting a lot of couples. They work together and like spend 24/7. And actually, they said that sometimes it's rough, but overall, they become much stronger as a couple and stronger as an individual because of the support they give to each other. So I
Yeah.
think it's a good thing, actually.
Remembering that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's funny, I just saw my time hop the other day, a post that said Matthew and I were both stressed out. So he went to a gun show and I went to a puppy adoption fair, so allowing each other to really
Space.
be who we are. Yeah.
Did you come
Um,
home with a puppy?
um, it was 2 weeks later because it took a little while to process. We'll have had him a year, July 8th. So that's why it was in my time hop because it was a year. And it's funny because we used to walk the dogs every morning together. And so we really were together 24/7. And a couple weeks ago, back in May, we had some friction. And so we have three dogs. So we have a 14-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 1-year-old. The 1-year-old was actually our empty nest. Like, I didn't want to have a baby, so I got a puppy. A baby may have been less work. I don't know. So I took our 7-year-old out for a run and loved that time by myself. And our dog loved just being with me. So for a month now, we've been walking the dog separate. And I kind of chuckle because I said to him, I'm like, I'm really enjoying running Rex by myself. And he's like, okay, well, we don't have to do everything together. And I'm also at the same time certain that our neighbors are like, oh, what's going on? They're not walking the dogs together anymore. you know? So,
I love that you're paying attention, like
Yeah.
you're paying
yeah.
and listening. You're listening
Mm-hmm.
because I got chills and goosebumps just
Mm-hmm.
hearing you speak. Because so many people
It's
they
like I
forget.
must
I
to do
must, and
it.
out of fear, there is a
Yeah.
fear of change,
Yeah.
fear of
Yeah.
change because it's like I'm gonna lose something. It's
Mm-hmm.
gonna, it's just all the thoughts. But I love that you listen to your
Mm-hmm.
intuition, to the guidance, because that's we're receiving
Mm-hmm.
guidance every
Mm-hmm.
step of our way.
But also
Yeah.
your husband, your partner is accepting this, and
He's
that's a
listening
beautiful
too.
thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He may like running his dog without me too. So,
I mean, space
Yeah.
is, I worked with my with my husband, it's like I worked with my former, with 24/7 on a boat. So I
yeah.
know how
Oh,
that, yeah, so I know how that
Mm-hmm.
feels and is when you're
yeah.
like there constantly.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
having space and spending time alone away, it's essential even for our energy body because we're
Mm-hmm.
energy beings.
Yeah. I love that you brought that up because that was one of the things, things are like, I really enjoy working with Matthew. He is also a big mirror for me of when something he is doing is making me crazy. I'm like, what am I doing that is telling me about? And this was, maybe end of last year or something. Um, I was really struggling because I've never related to being an empath. I just thought I was a highly sensitive person. But through a year-long women's program I did last year, my empath really came on online. And so it was a struggle for me. And he was in a rough place. And I realized that, we were sleeping, if your subtle body is arm lengths out and his arm length is overlapping my arm length, then constantly our subtle bodies were just entwined. And that's where I wasn't able to be myself because his energy was 8, 9 hours a night overlapping mine. And so it was neat to discover that and then start doing some stuff to protect my subtle body. And just in that little bit of awareness, and taking action, it changed our whole relationship again. So it's always neat to be on that journey and discover stuff.
That
I love
remind
your face. What are you thinking?
that remind me of a funny story. Years ago, I had used to go to some schools, and the teacher, the owner of the school, she was like, if your husband partner doesn't want to do anything, that's okay. Work on him during at night time, like when he sleeps. Like you work on yourself, you organize your energy, your chakras, and everything. He will not even know what happened to him. But your way of, I mean, changing your energy is going to have a permanent effect on him. So he will be changing his energy too. And I remember we had one woman in a class, and she said like, "That's against his will." Uh, And my teacher's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah."
Right? And he either will accept it or not. And if he
Yes,
accepts it, it's only against his conscious will, not his
yes.
subconscious will.
And my teacher said, "This is how I saved our marriage." He wouldn't even know that he didn't even know that I was doing this. In the morning, he felt much better, more energetic, and finally, I told him that I work on my energy field, kind of like blocking your energy, so I could be myself, and but the energy is like spreading, so it's kind of like going towards your energy too. So
It's like
yeah.
she's yeah, like you take care of you and you
Yes.
create coherence. So it's like floating to, to your husband, to your
Yeah.
animals.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know Abraham Hicks says, and I'm going to not be able to word it exactly what she says, but the intention of you can't help somebody by stepping down to their vibration. You have to help them from your vibration. So, as you're saying, as we're working on ourselves, they're going to rise to us instead of us lowering down to them.
That's
And not in anyone, or even in myself some days when I'm just,
Mhm.
I'm perimenopausal. There's a lot of days that my energy is not as high as I would like it to be.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that your vibration is low. It's just, so
That's fair.
one thing that
Yeah.
it's like someone actually yesterday we talked about that. And I was like, yeah, never lower your vibration. Never lower your
Yeah.
vibration for anything or anyone, You just show up as you are.
Mhm.
Like a light being, you show up as you are, and whoever is in the room, they will either rise or leave. So it is just beautiful. So we just authentically be ourselves, right?
Yep. Yes. I mean, if that comes from the heart, and
Yeah.
all the good things that, yeah, that is
Well,
going to work.
if it doesn't come from the heart, you get the 2x4,
Yeah.
the cosmic 2x4. And you will know very quickly that that's not from your heart.
Yep.
I love that. Yes. Well, and I did actually write down what you just said about even when your energy's low, it doesn't have to lower your vibration because I needed you to say that. Thank you. Because I
You're welcome.
definitely, when my energy's low, I allow it to lower my vibration because I never thought about the fact that those two don't have to match each other. So I did. I wrote that down on a piece of paper. Thank you.
It's just energy moving through us.
And
Yeah.
I think we are discovering more and more about ourselves and how our energetic whole body works. That our vibration, I think they are always high. It's just the way how we see ourselves, how our mood is, and everything else. How the physical body
Hmm.
works with our
It's
and
all, yeah.
vibration.
It's like that just brought me to that. You know what I just shared? It's like when you walk into a room and it's low, you can feel density, you feel yucky.
Yes.
Um, and it's like that's a lower vibration than you are. So
Yeah.
some people, I used to do that too. It's like you lower, you go down, you lower your vibration, and then it's really painful and really uncomfortable. And then that's when it came. It's like you don't lower your vibration, but the same with the energy. It's like let them come to you, right? Raise their
Yeah.
vibration to you. The same with myself, for example. I know it's like when my energy is low, when I'm like, we're human, and I'm going through my stuff. I, it's a choice. It's always a choice. I can choose to lower the vibration of myself, or I can choose to rise up to my
Yeah.
vibration. That dance to transmute the low energies. It's
Well, and I think
what that makes
I
sense.
know for
Mhm.
me, yeah, absolutely. Um, and I think part of I'm going to start using the word dance because you've used that a couple of times, and
Yes.
I really love that word. I'm going to write that word down too because I think that that's a fantastic word. Like I use the word journey. So I think the dance is remembering to keep your energy high and allowing yourself the grace that when you do lower it, it's to give you the conscious moment to say, "Oh, I want to raise it back." So it's a dance. And that's the human part of being in this journey is we get to consciously choose. Because if we weren't human, then we would be high vibe all the time, and
Would be
well, we
Buddha.
want to. Yeah.
Will be ball
Would
of light.
would be Buddha.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes. And so the human part of that is to lower your vibration for shorter and shorter time each time it lowers, to remember to raise it back up, and then to give yourself grace when you get stuck in it for a day or a week or a month or however long, because you'll remember later to pick it back up. And it's a beautiful dance.
Yeah.
And I think when more we remind ourselves, or we are able to catch ourselves, okay, my vibrations are low, or whatever doesn't work, then and we practice that awareness, then it's less and less, and we are able to much quicker to bring back ourselves to the level that we feel joyful and happy.
Yeah.
Being mindful and aware, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, and I think mindful and aware is so important. And I think I actually have, okay, so on my desk, I have this ginormous crystal, and I also have, trying to pick it up because it's heavy, I have the word grace, because I think that's so important that we offer ourselves grace in everything we do because we are just living in this human body. I actually have a tattoo on my right foot. It was the first tattoo I had. It took me a year to figure out what it was going to be. And it says walking with faith and grace, because we're on this journey to have faith and trust in the universe. Faith is also my 14-year-old dog's name, who's asleep on the floor next to me. And then grace for the journey, grace for ourselves. I think those are so important.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. And as we're coming
To the
to the end, is there anything you'd like to tell our listeners? Like any insights, any guidance, any heart whispers?
Mm. Gosh, that's a hard one. I feel like we've had such a rich conversation that's
Mm-hmm.
been full of all that. So I would say listen to this podcast or listen to this channel again.
Yeah.
And that's all the insight and everything that you need. That would be my answer.
Perfect. Perfect. I think, yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's just perfect. And be joyful,
you
right?
can say
Yeah.
perfect because we all have a
Perfect.
cat.
We have lots of cats. Among all of us, we have a lot of cats at the moment.
Yes.
I'm sorry, my earbud just died. And so I'm having to turn the speaker off. Okay,
Oh,
there we are.
can you hear us? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
sorry
I
about
said,
that.
no.
Problem.
You good. You are still here. I
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
said among all of us, you can see. You can also say perfect because we have many cats
Yes.
We do have a lot of cats between us.
between us. Yes.
That comes from the heart because we're
Yes.
big-hearted and compassionate and open, and that's how
Yes.
you end up with a lot of cats.
That's how you end up. So, Cris, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Both
Pam.
we
Have
both
so much
enjoyed.
fun.
Yes, so enjoyed. So much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Loved hearing your story.
Thank
Loved
you.
hearing your shares and yes,
Your
listen
life
again.
journey,
Your
all
life
those
journey.
beautiful ideas, and the way how you not even like support yourself, your marriage, your partnership, but you support the people, they come to you for the support, and that's really beautiful and really important.
Thank you both so much. My cheeks hurt from smiling and
I
laughing for the past hour while we
know.
chatted. So thank you so much. The rest of my day is going to just be so high vibe from spending time with you both. And I look forward to having y'all on my podcast soon
Oh,
too.
me too. I look forward to, and I look forward to
Yeah,
see the journey, how it all unfolds and blossoms, because it's
yeah,
just, I can see it. It's like the more you live from your heart, and it's
Mm-hmm.
mhm,
gonna overspill into the world from
yeah,
that place. So thank you for everything you are and you do, and we look forward to have you back
yeah. That would be so much
in the
fun.
future. So thank you everyone for listening and
Watching.
watching. Please subscribe, share, like, and comment. That will help us grow the channel.
Mm-hmm.
So, wishing you many blessings, much love. Till next time.
Till next
Bye.
time, thank you.
Bye.